Hi everybody, Jessie here from jessiebanks.com and welcome back to another video. So for today's video, I am using MFT's Settle Up and Celebrate stamp set. You can see it here. This was from the, I do believe, July release. I'm just getting around to using them. I have stamped out masks for all of these images, and now we're just going to work on stamping things out and layering them. I am using the MFT Extreme Black ink as well, on top of Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock. So we're just going to mask everything out and work in layers. I cut some of it out and I left some of it in. I'm just making sure that I get everything lined up properly so that I don't have funny white spaces and stuff like that. The masking paper I'm using is from Simon Says Stamp. I really like it. It removes easy. It doesn't seem to rip my paper or leave any glue or anything behind. You can see here I'm showing you the stamping and not me putting on the masks because it gets a little boring. So now that I've got everything masked out, I have taped this down onto a board and I am just going to start with the ink blending. I'm starting with the blue here just so that I have a smooth transition between my green grass and then the sky that I'm going to put in after. I wanted to lay down some of that blue first because the green will definitely cover it up and mix together just to make other shades. So this is the Grassy Borders stamp set, or stencil. I love this stencil. I love all of MFT's stencils. I'm kind of a stencil junkie. I can't speak. I was using mowed lawn and now I'm coming in with peeled paint just to deepen it up and use a little bit more of a yellow toned green. Now we've got Salty Ocean, Blueprint Sketch, and a little bit of Wilted Violet is what I'm going to use for the clouds, and I have this as the mini cloud edges stencil. And I'm just going to start from the bottom and work my way up, and you will see an oops that happens in a little bit here. We'll get to that when I get there. So we're just working on stenciling all of these out. I hope everybody has been well. I've had this card filmed for like a week and a half and I have not gotten around to editing the video until now. I got sick and I just had lots of stuff come up and house cleaning and work and just life. It's been a long couple of weeks. I have water again. I didn't have water. Well, I had water, but I only had like 18 pounds of pressure coming into my house since May. And we finally located and rectified the issue. I started with checking my water heater, which couldn't have been the issue because my cold water pressure was fine. And then I replaced my entire house from copper piping to PEX. And that didn't solve the issue. Oh, you can see there I accidentally put green down, so then I went over top of it and made it like a gray toned. I'll just do that in a couple different places here. I'm just fighting to see where the stencil lines up. So you can see I'm going in with that green and then I'm going back over top just to pull that color through the entire scene and not just that one area that I oopsed on. Because after all that stamping and masking, I was not starting over. But yeah, so once I did the house in PEX and that didn't help, I finally got the town to do what I said they should have done all along. And we checked the pressure coming into the house and I had 18 pounds of water pressure coming into my house. The water was coming out of the tap smaller than the width of a pencil. I couldn't do dishes, I couldn't shower, I couldn't do laundry. I was doing that all over at my parents' house. So it really meant that there was a lot less crafting and things going on because I just wasn't home. But now we got that all rectified. They put a new line in from the water main to my house. The leak was at the main and it actually, the water pressure coming out of the pipe had blasted a hole into the sewer line for the people that, or for the lot that's across the house from me. There's nothing on it currently. And hold that thought, this is my favorite part, removing masks. I love how everything looks when you get the bright white images behind all of that ink blending you've just done. It's so heavenly. But yeah, so the water pressure out of the copper pipe coming out of the main had blasted a hole through the sewer pipe to the yard across from me, so all of the water was coming directly out of that pipe and into the sewer pipe, so it wasn't showing itself anywhere. So it wasn't super easy to like figure out where the issue was and stuff. Thankfully, they pulled a new pipe through, they dug a big hole in my front yard and across the street and they just pulled it through the new plastic piping and I have water again. I can do dishes and clean house and all sorts of things. And then I was going to do that and I ended up sick and I spent 2 days on the couch with no sleep and life's just been fun. Now we're getting into the Copic coloring. So I'm starting off with my N grays and I'm just going to make it so that it looks as though the cake and stuff is white, but you do still want to add shading to it. So I'm just keeping those shadows really, really light and going through the N3, N1, N0, and then I go over top of it all with the colorless marker to push it into the back. Now when I finish it here, it's going to look very, very gray, but once we put all of the colors and everything else into this image, it will appear a lot brighter and more white than gray, which is always an exciting thing to do, but having that shading in your white areas really helps a lot. And I'm not worried about going over top of those spots or anything, because I am going to color in the cow print really, really dark. So I'm going to do the same idea on the balloon up here with that N3 and N1 and all that, but I do go in and add a little bit of blue to it as well after, just to give it a little bit of reflection of the sky and stuff, and I just thought it needed it, so I think it turned out really cute. So we're going to go through and blend all of that out now with the colorless blender. You guys, I had so much fun with this card. I really love taking MFT stamps and building scenes and doing masking and building these big one-layer cards and stuff with it. I love it. I love sitting down and spending, like, this card took me, but I think I had just over an hour of footage. So really not that bad. Now that's not counting out the time cutting the masks and all of that, but it takes, so you can say I probably put in 2 hours into planning and making one of these cards, and you guys see about an hour of the footage shrunk down. So it doesn't take me too terribly long to do it. I mean, I know some people it probably takes longer, and some people are probably way faster than me at it, but I just really enjoy spending the time and coming up with these super fun and layered cards with a bunch of different stamps on them and happy little scenes and stuff like that. I think it's super fun. I have another one coming too. I'm going to film it once I get dishes done and laundry in, is the goal for today. So hopefully by the time you guys are watching this today, I will be filming the next one for you. So we're getting all of that blended out. Now I'm going to go in and work on the cacti in green. And I mixed a bunch of different greens together because I wanted to get real dark in the shadows, which is where this color comes in. But I wanted the overall feel of it to be super bright and vivid, so it blends in with that peeled paint and mowed lawn that we used on the ground for the ink blending. So I'm just dropping all of my shadows in and then slowly blending them out with the lighter color. This is how I work with everything. I go dark to light and do one coat. Some people go light to dark and then back again. Everybody kind of has their own thing. And if you're really worried about shadows, what I used to do when I was terrified was I would take my lightest color. Ugh, stuck to the chair. I would take my lightest color and go through and mark all of my shadows in with the lightest color and then jump into the darkest color, just so I was confident in where I was putting my marker down. Because if it's the lightest color and I'm going over it after, it doesn't matter if I put it in the wrong spot and not use it, because it'll blend into everything else. So that's definitely a trick that I used to do a lot of the time. I've kind of gotten past that now. I'm fairly confident with where I put my shadows, and if I'm not super confident or they're not in the right place, a lot of people will never even notice it's a card and it's shadowed, and these are super cute characters. So now we're jumping into her face, or her skin, and I'm going to put drop shadows where anything comes in front, so like where her hat and her hair fall in front of her face, the underside of her sleeves and the bottom of them, underneath her skirt, and in her boot, because cowboy boots sit so far wide on her legs. So we're getting all of that marked in, and then of course under her neck is going to be fairly dark. I didn't use the darkest color. I think I filled it in here with the E13. And just slowly blending those out. As I'm blending them out, I am making sure I go over top of that darker color with the lighter one to get some smooth transitions between our colors and things. And just getting everything blended out and nicely worked together. I use lots of colors in my skin tones. You can definitely get away with less. This is my personal preference and my go-to skin tone, and I'm not sure what I want to do. I grab it and it's super easy peasy. The E00 and 000 I swap out for E50 and E51 a lot of the times, depending if I want like a more yellowy tone skin or a more peachy tone skin. That's about the main changes I make in my skin tone. This is just kind of my go-to everyday thing. Getting that done. Now we're going to move on to her hair, which I'm making just like a light blonde, so I'm using the E40 markers. This is the only time I work backwards. When I'm doing hair, I go light to dark. Everything else I go dark to light. And the reason I do that is because in the hair, I don't want to blend everything together. I want it to stay very, very separate, and I just make those strokes shorter because I don't want them to blend out. And then you get the more piecey feel, and you can see the flicks a lot more easier in the hair, and everything's a little more defined and precise. So that's why I go backwards in the hair. My tummy's grumbling. I'm going to have to get something to eat after this. I know my hand is in the way. Like I said prior, I haven't been filming a lot, so I forgot to twist my hand so that you guys can see everything as I go, but we will get better at that. I promise. I'm going to get back into the swing of things. I'm going to. I have to. So now I'm going through with that E43 and blending that out, and that'll be my darkest color, so that'll be the darkest points of the hair. So it's where anything pinches together, and again, anywhere there's a drop shadow, and then on the ends where the hair comes back together is kind of where I'm going with the darkest colors. I went super bright and vivid on all of the colors for the rest of the image, like the teal and the pink and all of that. I kept super bright and bold just to go with the feel of the grass and everything. I didn't leave anything real muted, but the brown on her jacket and shorts, or skirt and boots, which is what I'm working on now, I did with the E70s, and I love this tone of color. It's almost like a purpley grayed out brown. I think it's really, really beautiful when they're all blended together. I don't use it a whole ton, but it's one of my favorite color combinations out of everything with the Copics. If you go just on the ranges, those E70s are just amazing, and they look ever so pretty on tons of things. I really enjoy them. So again, I'm just marking in my darkest points in all of my drop shadows, and I am adding one down the seam of her skirt where it is sewn together, just to give it a little more variation. E71, and then E70 will be our lightest color, and I'll blend the rest out with that. I have no more stories to tell, I don't think. I need to go put laundry away. Anybody want to come help? Now we're getting into our bright colors, so I'm starting off with my BG09. I opened up the wrong end of the marker, that's what you saw there. I'm mapping in all of our darkest colors. So this will be repetitive through the whole thing. I end up doing his handkerchief, her handkerchief, the hat, and I do her ponytails as well. The little stripe on the bottom of the blanket piece that's on the cake. I love MFT stamps, you guys. One day I will get to do a guest spot for them. One day. Goals, you guys. Hashtag goals, right? Until then, I will enjoy buying and coloring them all the time because they're one of my top favorite companies to color. Their stamps are always so gorgeous, and it's so hard to pick which ones I can afford to add to my collection every month. So now I'm going in with that BG07 and blending it out, and we'll continue that step all the way down through all of the colors I've pulled. So the BG05, I love this bright teal combo. It is one of my go-tos. I grab it all the time, especially in the summertime. It's so vivid and rich and full of life. It makes me happy, and that's all that matters. So getting this all blended out. You can see I forgot to go and blend on the little part on the below his hat on the cake. Now I go back and do that, and then I'm going to add a little bit to the little tassels on the hat and stuff. I'm not sure if I filmed that or not. Now I'm coming in with BV23. I'm using this on my pink combination. A lot of the time I will grab this marker underneath of this pink combo just to give it some more shadows. I find that the darkest color in this pink combination just doesn't give me the depth in the shadows that I would like to have with it, so I tend to pull this gray in, and it blends out really well with everything else in this series. So, or everything else in this blend of markers that I picked out, it blends in really nice. You don't much see it after the fact. It kind of gives it a little more of a purpley tone, I guess, in the shadows. Once the pink goes over top, you'll see here in a moment. So you can see how it blends out over top, and you don't really see the gray anymore, but it's there. Personal preference, it's something I found along the way that I enjoy doing, and I tend to do it a lot of the time in my pink combinations when I want the depth in those shadows. Get her hat and everything all colored in. There's tons of Copic coloring on this one, guys. It was a long one. I should have told you to settle in with coffee when we started, because I think we've still got like 5 minutes left before we're through this video. You're gonna be so sick of me. Nobody wants to listen to me babble on for that long. Working on that handkerchief part, and then his hat is going to be pink as well. I liked pulling the same color through all of these images just to make sure that they felt like a cohesive unit and that they belonged together. RV14. I have the RV09060, and it's a beautiful combination, but it is fluorescent pink. It is beautiful, but it is almost too pink for what I do. I find it too bright and in your face and fluorescent. Whereas this one's just kind of like a bright pink, but it doesn't have that fluorescent bite to it. So we're just getting through and blending everything out. I hope my child comes home soon because he has a bedroom to clean. If he ever gets here. I haven't seen him yet today. That doesn't mean I don't pay attention. He spent the night at my parents' house. Let me rectify that so people don't think that I ignore my son and have no idea where he is. He's over at a friend's house right now, and then he's probably going back to Nana and Papa's. So I do know where he is if I needed to go get him, but it's fine. So RV11, there is an RV10 in this markers combo too that I tend to pull out once in a while, but I wanted to keep the colors a little more rich and vivid this time instead of washing them out and having them be like a real soft tone, so I didn't go down that far in the colors. Oh, now I'm adding into those little spots, and then I need to color up, what else? Oh, the grass on the bottom there I need to do. Oh, and her ponytails I'm making blue. You can see how I'm picking out the little pieces that didn't get done the first time through, and I'm just kind of filling them in. A little bit on the bottom of her boots. Now I'm going to do her belt buckle in yellow, so it looks like a gold belt buckle. Then we just have the center of the flower and this grass to fill in. I wanted to kind of pick out colors that were going to resemble the cacti as well as the ground, so that it all kind of looked together and it looked the same kind of luscious green as everything else. Oh, I forgot the bottom of the balloon. See how all these little pieces at the end I just have to go back and fill in? Now I'm going to take the grays, so I took W5 and I'm going to blend that out with W1 just to give a little bit of shadow underneath of the cake and all the little guys standing on top of it, because obviously they're standing on top, not built in. And that's it for this card, guys. I'm going to glue this down onto a card base and take a little white gel pen and add some highlights and stuff to different areas of these characters. I just wanted them down first. Oh, and we're going to stamp sentiment. I forgot about that. I used the Saddle Up and Celebrate sentiment, and it fit nicely into that grass, which worked out really well because I didn't want to put it up in the sky. So I stamped that down using the same MFT ink, and here come our white spots, and that'll be it for this video, you guys. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I definitely read everything you write. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. That helps my channel out immensely. You have no idea. If you aren't subscribed, I would love for you to subscribe and see what else I come out with in the future. You will see popping up on the screen there is going to be another video that YouTube recommends for you to watch, as well as if you click my face, it will subscribe you to the channel. I will see you guys very soon, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye for now.